Okay, so welcome back everyone to the new and hopefully improved Dubailife Podcast. It's been a while since our last podcast. This is now our 13th episode. And right now we're in the middle of what will probably be known as the famous 2020 coronavirus lockdown. So we've decided to take advantage of the time that we have at home and kick off the podcast once again. We've got one major change to announce, and that is that Mr. Richard Crossley, one of our most popular guests and rental expert for the past 6 years here in Dubai, with many, many years of experience all over the world when it comes to real estate, is the new permanent resident on the podcast. So we have been discussing this concept for a while. We've got loads of exciting ideas that will hopefully bring to fruition over the ensuing months to keep you all entertained and informed. Also, we're planning to start the Dubailife Podcast YouTube channel. So we're going to bring a video concept to the podcast, which I'm sure you'll all hopefully enjoy. So let's dive straight in and get started. Obviously, a lot to talk about right now, Richard. If people are listening to this show, let's say 10 years in the future, how would you summarize this current situation?
Wow, that's an opening question. It's something that we've never, ever seen in the world before. You know, people are saying it's the biggest crisis to mankind since the Second World War. Some are saying it's the biggest economic crisis, even surpassing the great crash of 1929, the Great Depression. We just don't know, but it's frightening how it's taken over the world so quickly and brought the world to its knees. And it's going to be very, very interesting and perhaps scary how things develop from here and how we try and get back on our feet. I think a lot of countries are now talking that we've got to get back on our feet. We've got to open for business again, because economies and jobs, yes, they're going to suffer no matter what happens, but there's got to be a point where, you know, we've got to come out of this. We've got to get the world working again and communicating again. And, you know, probably communicating is not the right word, because we're all now Zoomsters, aren't we? We do daily business on Zoom, which was an unheard of, or virtually unheard of concept 2 months ago. And now suddenly, you know, we live on Zoom. But as I say, the world has changed and will change fundamentally. And Dubai has changed and will change. And we've just got to be prepared as best we can for what's coming. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think that's the big question, isn't it? We all know that the world needs to continue and carry on, but it's knowing and predicting when is the right time to do so. That's the difficult point. I'd like to see more data on what's happened with China, because it sounds like they're almost back up and running again. I know that factory workers have gone back. I'd really like to see information about how their economy is performing after all of this. But it's interesting to me to see how we've adapted. And I think there'll be a lot of progression that comes out of this. Like you said, with the Zoom calls, something that I've never done before. And I found it really useful. And perhaps that will become more, you know, with perhaps overseas clients that I'm working with, instead of, you know, a call, I will get on a Zoom call with them and you'll still have that face-to-face interaction. But I'm just trying to, personally, I'm just trying to make the most of it and try and...
What are you up to? What are you doing? How are you keeping yourself busy?
Well...
I mean, look at you. You look as fit as a butcher's dog. And look at me. Obviously, I found the biscuit barrel in my place. Obviously, you found 50 sit-ups every half an hour.
I found the 52 flights of stairs in my building. So I've been doing that almost daily, which has been really good. And also getting involved with some HIIT classes, some live HIIT training classes, which has been fun.
Well, you've got to, haven't you? Because it's kept off the golf course, hasn't it? You haven't been on the golf course for a couple of months.
I was saying to my friend this morning, I'm really looking forward to getting back on the golf course more than ever, really, just to get outside and get some fresh air. I haven't been outside this apartment now for almost 3 months. Three weeks, not 3 months. God.
I'm lucky. I live in a villa.
Yeah,
a single-story villa, so I've got no stairs to worry about. But at least I've got a garden, and the garden does save you sanity. Just get out and have some fresh air. It's strange, isn't it? You know, I appreciate and I understand why that, you know, Sheikh Mohammed and the government are cracking down on this majorly. But I would have preferred if we've done a little bit of outside exercising, provided we, we adhere to the social distancing. You know, of course, you can't go cycling in a group of 40. You can't walk with 3 or 4 of your friends. But as long as, you've got that 2 metre, 3 metre distance, it'd be a healthy environment for us to get out and about. But having said all that, it's so important. I mean, perhaps we're privileged and lucky, but it's so important for the government to stamp on this, snap it once and for all. Because what we can't do, and there is a danger that this coronavirus will come and go until the vaccines are in place. Yes. So it's interesting as well. I mean, I was just thinking when you said about your golf, here we are, we're just about to start Ramadan, and then it's into the summer. So the timing's really awkward as well, isn't it? What's your view on the lockdown? When, I know I'm putting you on the spot, when do you think we're going to come out of this lockdown?
Yeah, I get this question a lot from clients. The honest answer is we definitely don't know for sure. When I'm looking at the figures, seems to be still increasing here at the rate of about 300 to 400 new cases a day. But I think we are testing really effectively and efficiently. So that might be the reason why you're seeing more cases, not necessarily the virus spreading, but just the fact that we're testing more effectively.
And he's still not been scared, has he, to close down areas, districts that he considers to be high risk. Again, we look back at England, and again, you and I have talked about this. Perhaps we look back with rose-tinted spectacles. But again, in England, they've been too relaxed and too slow. Even to this day, they're allowing flights in from all over the world, from China, from Italy, from Spain, etc., with very minimal testing. Whereas here, the government have, to me, they've grasped it in quite a strong manner to stamp on this once and for all. So, I've got to salute them. They're doing as good as ever on the safety of the citizens.
Yeah, I guess that's the benefit of being in a place in a country like the United Arab Emirates, where people just don't mess around with the police and the government, and what they say goes. Not in a bad way, but I think where in the UK you've got a lot of people that they're all against being controlled, and they do their own thing, and they don't believe what's being said. Whereas in Dubai, you kind of stick to what you're told, and it is what it is. And I think we're benefiting because of that. And I don't think I'd rather be anywhere else at the moment when you look at the figures.
I think it's interesting. A lot of people said to me, "Oh, are you going to stay in Dubai? Are you going to go back to the UK?" No, I'm going to stay in Dubai. I like Dubai. It's safe, it's secure, it's tolerant, it's a lovely place to be. Yeah. And again, the government, like everywhere in the world, it's had its ups and downs, etc. But at least they respond quite quickly. And, I do generally think, as you say, they don't pussyfoot about. If it's protection of the citizens, they're going for it in a major way. And again, if you and I went back to the UK, what would we go back to? Again, the UK's changed fundamentally in the last 10 years, hasn't it? It's not the UK that you and I grew up in. And as I say, I'm here in Dubai for the long run. I'll be here for the next few years. And so it's time for me to potter off into the distance. But I'm happy in Dubai, and I'll stay in Dubai. Anyway, you're younger than me, so tell me your side.
Likewise, I mean, I've no reason to leave, to be honest. And for me specifically, I didn't get a university degree. There's nothing that I could really go back to with the same amount of opportunity that I have working in this industry here in Dubai. I feel like I'm starting to build something for myself here, and there's no reason why I would go back. And many of my friends that did well with their education and schooling, they're not having a great time at the moment, to be honest. I don't think there's a whole lot of opportunity out there. I do miss friends and family and the lifestyle, but is that reality, or is that, like you said, is that what you remember growing up in England to be? That's the big question.
I mean, so songs we can get back to the UK every 2 times a year, summer and winter, providing family and friends can get visitors here. And boy, do they like coming to visit us here. Gee.
I know.
that magic of Dubai. Oh yeah, Rich, we're coming out. Have you got a spare bed? Go on, mate, and all the rest of it. But anyway, more to the point. So anyway, come on, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Dubai, what's happening with Dubai? 2020, Expo 2020's been delayed for 1 year, which I think is a good thing. Yeah. I think the world's going to change, and I think every government and pretty much every person in the world is going to take the time now, as we are on lockdown, to think, right, how can I become a better person? Yes. How can I, how can the country become a better place? So we were rushing to get Expo 2020 finished as the centerpiece of Dubai. Perhaps this year, in delay, or 18 months in, well, it's 18 months pretty much, 15 months, isn't it? Was it now?
Yeah.
16, 18 months from now. Perhaps it'll give everybody, not just individuals, but also the government, to just say, right, what's important in the world? What have we learned from coronavirus to take us forward?
Yeah.
And perhaps we can review things. But you talk to me now how you see Dubai could go in the next 12 to 18 months.
Just quickly, Rich, I really like what you said there. And it's about, I was listening to another podcast this morning, actually, and they were discussing the concept of everybody's saying, how are we going to survive this situation, this lockdown, this pandemic? And people are giving advice on how to cope with all of this. And I think what you said is great. And it's not about how you survive, but it's how you prepare for life after the lockdown, how you better yourself, how you get yourself set up. And as a whole, Dubai, I think, will do very well out of it. There's no rush now to prepare for the expo. They can take their time, make sure everything's finished. I did get the feeling that it would have been, prior to all of this, it would have been great to have a bit more time to get ready for the expo. So yeah, delaying it by a year. Is that confirmed now? Do we have a date for the expo?
Well, I think they've moved it date to date. And let's face it, the whole idea of opening it in October was to give us the more clement climate for our visitors
so it's going to have to be. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it's going to be October 21 now, isn't it? And
perfect.
As I say, I think the entire world, governments, the management of this Expo 2020, I think it's got to slightly change its onus on what it is. Before, it's going to be a salute to technology and the way the world's going. And of course, technology is now going to take even more centre stage, as we discussed with Zoom and other ways of communicating. And I like what you said as well. Dubai is probably the most tolerant. I've lived in several countries over the years, and Dubai is certainly the most tolerant place. So again, it's all about bettering yourself and being a better, caring, understanding person of your neighbours, of your friends, of everything. Yeah. So I think there's going to be some good to come from it, but there is some bad from it. I mean,
exactly.
Let's talk about the downsides of this, the economy, for example.
Well,
and let's be Dubai specific to what's happening with the economy and how do we see the economy recovering. And again, we are a property related webcam. No, sorry.
Podcast.
We are a property related podcast. Thank you. So let's try and talk property related. Anyway,
well,
Dubai,
look,
what's going to happen next month?
My thoughts haven't really changed so much as I thought, and I've been saying this for the past 2 or 3 years. I feel that the main issue with what's happening in Dubai, not issue, but main observation is that there's too much oversupply. And regardless of this virus, regardless of the fact that the oil prices have come down to the lowest level in 30 years, I would expect prices to have fallen gradually this year anyway. And I don't think that's going to change. My long-term thoughts are very positive for Dubai, but in the short term, there is going to be people who have speculated and will need to take a haircut and accept lower prices, even more so now with what we're seeing with this virus. But I think I work in a villa community and I specialize with people who are end users. And I still believe that in the long run, you can never time any market, whether it be financial or real estate. So buying now somewhere that you really like and you have a good location and you're happy with what you're buying and you get a good deal is great for the long term. Those people that are looking at this and thinking maybe I can get something and sell it on in a year and make some money, those are the people that are not going to do well. And those are the people that have been hit hard in other situations like we saw in 2008. So I think
I'm going to put you on the spot now, so you can thank me later. So, right, I'm a seller in your area of Dubai Hills, I bought a villa in, say, Sidra, right? And it's very nice. It's typical Sidra, obviously.
Yeah.
I need to get out of it because for whatever reason, let's face it, unemployment, salary cut, whatever. I need to get out of my villa in Sidra. What shall I do, Liam? You're the expert. Advise me what to do.
Well, the key word that you said there is need. You need to sell. And my advice to everybody on the first conversation when they're thinking about selling is the motivations behind selling. Because it isn't a time to sell because you would have bought high and now you're selling low. So it's not ideal. But if you need to sell, I mean, I'd probably go into more details as to why you need to sell. Do you have, are you not able to make the payments? Do you need the money to support your family in other ways? Maybe you've got a business opportunity that you can't miss. And in that case, you've got to be realistic. You've got to look at the data. You've got to look at transactions that are happening, and you can't be emotional about the purchase. If
But Liam, I bought this one because it's on a big plot. So if everything else is at 3 million, I should get 3.5 for mine because I've got the best plot.
Well, yeah, I mean, specifically when we're talking about plots, we don't find that bigger plots always produce higher returns. And one negative to a bigger plot is that the service fees are actually calculated on the plot size in Dubai Hills. So specifically, we need to find a family that would take advantage and really appreciate the larger plot, which is not always easy to do. And many clients will come to me with their first set of requirements, and it's that they don't have too big of a plot to pay for. Especially, tenants don't like to have a big plot, because they're not going to build a pool and they're not going to make the most of it. They want a normal size plot.
Okay, so you're saying I'm not going to get 3.5. Will I get 3?
It depends. It depends on the type and the location. Even though you've got a big plot, if you're on an external road near an entrance or a busy part of the community, it depends. If it's a 4-bedroom, you probably could get 3.4, but there's different types.
But I'm trying to tempt you to what you were telling me the other day, and perhaps your clients won't want to hear this, but you were telling me the other day that they should actually get ahead of the market and not follow it down in dribs and drabs. Come on, I know you're trying to be fair for everybody.
Well, you explained this point very well, and you've done so in a few meetings that we've had at luxuryproperty.com. And you're right in what you say. It's definitely about getting ahead and being the smart investor, being non-emotional, looking at the facts and saying, rather than waiting and following the market down, as so many people do, and it's quite sad to see, get ahead. Look at the prices that are transacting and match the market prices and get the property sold, get the cash in the bank now, and look back in 6 months' time and realize that, you're better with that cash in your bank. Although you have lost a lot of money on paper,
cash is king.
Cash is king, and even more so now.
Indeed. I'll tell you a story. When I first came, I'll never forget this. When I first came to Dubai 6 years ago, I think we were selling at the firm I was a Type 17 on Arabian ranches.
Right.
And the owner was saying to me, "It's 5 million. It's 5 million." And I say, "It's not. I can't see it. It's dated. It's old fashioned. Sell it for 4 million and then get out and put that money elsewhere." No. 2 years later, he sold it for, I think, 3.5.
Yeah.
But it was 2 years of waiting and dropping and following the market down.
And
if you listen to me,
and
I might put it on for 4 million when I think the going rate was 4.5 and got his 4 million in the bank. He would have been cash rich and happy. But he ended up taking 3.5, if I remember, even less perhaps. So that's always stuck in my mind. And I've seen it before in Spain in the crash in 2009. I've seen it, I'm showing my age here. I've seen it in the crash in England in 1998. I've seen it so many times. People follow the market down, dribs and drabs, 50,000, 500,000 here, whatever, 250,000 off the price there. It's not enough. Jump ahead of the express train and get out and use that money elsewhere.
Exactly. It's that short-term mindset, isn't it? They always look at the small amounts in the short term instead of looking at the big picture and realizing that if they can secure a fair price now, and sit back and look back in the long term, they're going to be much better off, and they can use that money. If it's in their bank and they're liquid, then they're able to take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah, I'm in a slightly different field. I'm in the rental field, as you know.
How are you finding it then? Because I guess the thing with rentals is people still have contracts that are expiring, and they're going to need to move still. So regardless of the situation that's going on, there's still going to be some demand.
Yeah, but there is, again, as you touched on earlier, there is oversupply in the rental market as well as the selling market. Yeah. And the secret, again, to any landlord who's listening, make yours different. You're not going to sell it, so we're not talking so much about price, but what we are talking about is standing yours out from the crowd. Yeah. So if I bring a tenant to your villa or to your apartment, I want that tenant to go, "Wow, this is different. I like this. This is either on my shortlist or where to write the check, who to write the check to. It's got to be different. You can't just be a typical investor, buy a unit and stick it on the market and hope for the best. Because unless you use yours, Dubai Hills. Dubai Hills isn't quite, no. It's a new area. But if I got a Dubai Hills, the first thing I'd do is I'd landscape it, I'd paint it, and certainly if I was somewhere else in a more dated community, I'd be putting new kitchens in, new bathrooms, shower rooms, etc. I'd be standing mine out from the crowd. So when a broker does bring a tenant to it, wow, this is different. I like this. And again, because it's so different and so much better than the competition, it even carries a premium and it doesn't stand empty for 2 or 3 months on the market of 2 or 3 barren months of not earning rent. Be different. Make yours stand out from the crowd on the rental market. That is the secret of renting your unit relatively quickly.
Yeah, I think it's you've got to create something that's unique, haven't you? And it's difficult in Dubai because, for example, in Sidra, where I mainly focus at the moment, there's 5 types. So if you've got a type 1, 3-bedroom, your villa is exactly the same internal layout as all of the properties. But I like what you said about landscaping and also perhaps the way that you offer the property. If you're offering a different amount of, if you're more flexible on checks, or you're giving a
you've got to be creative, haven't you? In this day and age, you've got to be creative. You've got to do something. And again, people remember. So if you've got existing tenants, be kind to them, offer them some financial help, understand their situation. For the next 3 months, try and waiver some rent or all of the rent, whatever. I hope my landlord's listening. Anyway, but seriously, you want to build a relationship between landlord and tenant that's hopefully going to keep your tenant in your unit, be it a villa or apartment, for the next 3 or 4 years. Because the last thing you want at the moment in Dubai is an empty villa or an empty apartment. Because it's just doing no one any favors whatsoever. You've got to be creative, understanding, flexible, and again, you've got to be prepared to make yours stand out from the crowd. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, really good advice there. Actually, I think it's important to have the relationship. You don't see it so much. Well, I haven't done anyway in my time, but even just an introductory email. I've moved maybe 5 times in 6 years, so I've got a good experience of the rental market, and I've never really had a relationship with any of my landlords. Never really a phone call to see how I'm getting on, never an email. It's always been, completely just stand off and let me get on with it. But yeah, you're right.
The market's changing, isn't it? The market's changing. Communications. We've said so many times in this podcast. Communication is going to be key. And I trust him. I like him. I want to do business with him. And that's in sales and rentals. It's that. Again, perhaps it's the world's changing. Perhaps now it's not going to be self. It's building relationships, building trust, and taking that forward. It's that's my view on it. I don't know about your view.
Yeah, I'm on the same lines. I think it's really good common sense advice, and everybody kind of knows it. But it's really taking a step back, which this time period might allow more people to do, and realize what's really going to help and what's important for the common good,
Indeed.
Right, so I've got a few questions, Richard.
You can tell me this bit. Go on.
I know you're focused mainly on rentals, but I don't. So I want to see your ideas and what you'd advise. So let's say you're a first-time buyer here in Dubai, which we've seen a lot of over the last couple of years. We've seen a lot of first-time buyers here in Dubai now. And prior to the virus and this whole situation, you were planning to go ahead and purchase a property. What would you be thinking now with this market? What would you be, what would your concerns
be? I'd be nervous.
Yeah.
I'd be nervous because, again, you read so much press, don't you? And we all like to be informed and up to date with what's going on. Yeah. So it's going to be, rental is a major thing. To rent a unit is a major expense and a major concern. It's your home. But to buy, I should imagine it's quadruple that pressure to get it right. You can't afford to get it wrong. Yeah. So at the minute, I'd be looking for a broker that I do trust. I really would. And who doesn't bullshit me just to get my money out of me, my commission out of me.
Yeah.
I'd want, and if somebody was telling me it's all roses in the garden, I'd be walking away from that person as not being genuine.
That's a really good point. Yeah, perhaps you could ask a question to gauge the level of honesty from the agent. I'm not suggesting that you're tricking people, but you're right. If it's all positive, then how can you trust what they're saying? You can't.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm going to turn that back on you because you're the expert. I'm the lamb to the slaughter.
Yeah.
I've got say 3 million in my hand, and I'm nervous. How are you going to get me to buy now with what's going on? I think I've read that this coronavirus, it's going to hit the market. People are going to leave Dubai. There's going to be a lot more price reductions. Prices are going to fall. But should I buy now, Liam, or should I not buy now? What do you think I should wait 6 months? What do you think I should do?
Well, it's an easy one. Obviously, you've got to know the full context. I mean, like I said before, it's all about perspective and looking at the long-term play with real estate in general. So I'm focusing on an end user. I'd be finding more about their current situation. If they're renting, how much are they paying? When is the rent going to expire? If they're paying $300,
again, I should imagine your typical buyer is paying 120, 130, 140 on rent in the marina or somewhere like that.
Yeah, potentially. A lot of my clients over the past couple of years have been sort of improving their situation not improving, but changing their situation, upgrading from an apartment. Maybe they've started a small family and they want to get a villa with some space in the garden. So yeah, a lot of people are paying probably 150, I would say, on the rental. So you've got to look at that. 150 is a lot of money per year to be putting down the drain on rental. So regardless of the current market, I mean, in all honesty, I would probably expect to see declines across the board in Dubai when we look at transaction prices. But specifically in my area, what you've got is a payment plan. So these villas are completely new, and you'll find a big difference between, I speak to a lot of sellers who said, I'll sell. If you give me what I paid back, I'll sell. Or if you give me maybe a 5-10% loss, I'll sell. And that's not the deals that we need to focus on. We need to focus on somebody who, unfortunately, like we said before, needs to sell. So if they need to sell, they're going to come down to a level that's going to offer fantastic value for a first-time buyer. So I still think that it's a great time to buy if you can take advantage of, individual circumstances of the seller. Across the board, maybe, if you were an investor perhaps, and you were looking for a one-bed investment, there'll be no rush right now to buy. Let's be honest. If you were looking for a one-bed, a great price, there'll be no rush, but there will be deals that come up that, are going to be as good now as they will be in 6 months. It depends on the seller's individual circumstances.
So you're saying to me, I think I'm right in saying this. Yeah, there's some good buys out there, but forget the ones that are 10% below. If you could find me one that's 20 or 30% below, that covers any future drop in the market.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And I'm saying that you've got to find the right location. You've got to find a place that you're comfortable with, that you're happy to live there, and you're looking at the long term, more towards 10 years than opposed to looking at something that you're going to want to sell in 3-4 years.
And again, forgive me, I'm a rental geek. So what's this thing about the government on the new mortgage? What's happening there?
Yeah, so the good thing with this whole scenario with the virus and obviously the potential effects that we're going to see on the economy here in Dubai is that the central bank is still very supportive of lending. So they're not kind of cutting back and, stopping lending in any way. In fact, we've just seen the LTV increase to 80% now for expats, 85% for locals, which means that you only need 20% to put down into a property. I think 4 or 5 banks have adopted these new regulations, and I'm sure other banks will follow. But that's huge news. I think that's fantastic. And also some of the banks are incorporating the fees, up to 5% of the fees in the loan value as well. So it just makes...
so they're trying to encourage, aren't they? They're trying to encourage.
Yeah, they're trying to...
You were telling me, again, yesterday or the day before, you told me what? They've actually slowed down the new supply onto the market?
Well, whether intentionally or not, there was expected to be 13,200 completions in the first quarter of the year, and we only saw 5,000. Now, when you think about it, the lockdown's only been 3 weeks of the first quarter, and we've seen 7,000 less units delivered. So whether that's a good thing or not, or it just kind of backs everything up even more, because these units are still going to eventually be completed. It's just a case of when. But I guess if it's more slowly fed into the market, then it's better, as opposed to a big dump of stock.
Indeed. Interesting time. So I think, again, and let's not sugarcoat this, it's going to be very much a buyer's market and a tenant's market. So, our job as good brokers is to protect as best we can and have a fair deal. Fair is
the key word. Yeah.
That's the word, isn't it? Fair. We want everybody to walk out of the deal feeling happy. Yeah, I've got a good deal. That'd be the landlord, that'd be the tenant in my case, that'd be the seller, that'd be the buyer in your case. Yeah, I'll shake hands on this. I've got a good deal. I'm happy. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Liam. That's my take on it.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be fair for everybody. And you need to be, for advice for buyers out there, is find a broker that you can trust and really work with the broker. Speak to a few brokers initially, find out who you like. You've got to have a good relationship with them and be able to be honest and talk to them about your feelings. And then as long as they're being responsive, giving you the deals,
stick with that person, isn't it?
And and hopefully that relationship will be better, because the agent will feel you're not running around and trying to offer on the same property, which happens so many times without unknowingly, and you're going to be able to get one of those deals whereby the seller needs to sell, and that's the key. That's what.
So again, I know, and I'm not just like blowing your trumpet here. I know that you do. I've never seen anybody on the phone as much as you, Liam, talking to your sellers all the time, building that relationship, building that rapport, advising them. And it's not always things that they want to hear. And I'm saying this because I hear you in the office. You're advising them, and you're brave enough and ugly enough to tell them that the market is this and you should be selling at that. So when they do eventually decide that, yeah, you know what, I need to sell this, and they're going to come to you first, aren't they? Because you've had that weekly, almost twice weekly contact with them, advising them. And of course, they don't want to hear what you're telling them. But one day they're going to wake up and think, yeah, you know what? I need to sell it, and Liam's right. Yeah. The first phone call they're going to make is to you, Liam. Okay, you win. I agree. I'm going to drop the price to this. Yeah. You're going to be in pole position with the best offers for the buyers. Yeah. So that's, again, I'm just re-emphasizing this for why a buyer should pick hopefully you or just one good quality agent and stick with that broker for trust. But also, if he's as good as he is with his buyers, he's as good as that with his sellers, and the sellers are going to trust him and come to him first. Perfect combination. Exactly, yeah. You're going to have a wide array of options if you're dealing with a professional, let's say. It's funny because I had this the other day actually. The first conversation I get with buyers often is they've had a bad experience before, and they're almost telling me what to do. So they're telling me about the situation. This is that you need to be saying to the seller, the market's coming down. And I'm like, look, all I do, especially now, the fact that I'm not even driving, all I do 24/7 practically is speak to sellers. And, I've got you covered. Don't worry. I know exactly what to say. And the sellers that need to sell will, accept the offers of the market. The buyers will choose the price eventually. It will always come down to the market. Indeed, my friend. Indeed. Right. What else do we need to talk about, or have we covered everything? Do you think? I think it's been a good start. I think we've covered pretty much everything. Where do you see this ending, or how do you see the market after all of this? How do you see us getting out of this and moving on? That's a question. Right. I do believe in the government and Sheikh Mohammed. They're not going to rush us back into this because it'd be fatal for them to open up Dubai for business, etc. And then there's another wave of coronavirus. The big thing with Dubai is that we're a central hub, aren't we? With Emirates, the biggest airline in the world, traveling to over, I don't know how many destinations. Let's say 150 destinations. Everybody's going to come through this city as a stopping point. and goods as well. We're a hub for transportation of goods through Dubai as well. So transportation is one of the major things, and that's got to recover. But so I think, this is my own personal take on it, there was a little bit of excitement, wasn't there? Oh yeah, some of the shops are opening again. But when you looked at the shops he opened, it was the essential supplies for Ramadan.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to allow families to stock up and get ready for Ramadan.
Yeah.
But then I do think he's going to keep it a very low-key Ramadan, where close-knit, small family units who are in isolation together now can celebrate Ramadan together.
Yeah.
But I think we won't come out of this until after Ramadan, when it's completely safe to do so. Yeah. And then we review where we are. And again, then we're into summer. Gradually slow build back to autumn. I think at autumn, we need to be bounced back. We need to have the economy working fully and openly by, September, October, and then have a real good year run to the new Expo 2020. And I almost look at Dubai. We've rebirthed ourselves. Yeah. We're back. We're open for business. We're not the same as we were before. And we've got all things geared to 2021. Yeah. Although you still keep call it 2020, but Expo 2020. But that's how I see it. Things need to be right before we open up. And again, it's going to be a different world when we open up, but it is going to open up.
I'd rather, I hear so many people complaining about the situation, and I'd rather stay in. I've got a 1-bed apartment in the marina. It's not amazing, but it's a very nice apartment. But it's not, it's not a villa. But I'd rather be locked down for a little bit longer if it means that the situation is going to be controlled. I really don't mind too much if it's another 3 weeks, another month. Let's just, make sure we get on top of it, and then I'm happy to slowly get back to normal.
Absolutely, mate. I think, as I say, unfortunately, I lost one of my cousins to the COVID-19 back in the UK in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, I did. And until it hits you that close to home, you don't realise it is. But it is very real. And again, it is here in Dubai. But at least the government are being forceful to stamp it out, and we've got to respect that, adhere to what they say. It's as simple as that. Yeah. But interesting times, my friend. We shall win. We shall win.
Exactly. So I think that was a good reintroduction to the Dubailife podcast. I'm really looking forward to what we've got to come. Hopefully, we'll be able to keep these regularly. We'll keep people entertained whilst they get stuck in the traffic on Sheikh Zayed Road, or perhaps they're walking the dog, and they'll have us keeping the nation entertained. But yeah, let's keep it going. So,
sounds good.
Yeah, perfect. All right, Richard. Thanks for your time.
Okay, look after yourself. Get back to the stairs.
Yeah, I'll get straight onto the stairs
10
now.
reps of those stairs.
52 floors.
I'll go and find the biscuit barrel.
You need to wear a mask to stop you going in the fridge. All right.
All right, mate. See you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.